In today's product spotlight, we are going to talk about this advanced balance tool. Now, I want to be really clear that for the most part, this is an super high level balance tool that I think is primarily designed for like skateboarders and surfers. So buyer beware as I get into the details of this product. However, I have found some other uses for this. In addition to it being a balance tool, it can also be used for stretching and maybe some early stage movement retraining. So if you are someone who is struggling with higher level balance confidence, and maybe some of you that are a little bit lower level that want a tool that can do multiple things, then stick around because I'm going to show you all the different ways that you can use this balance board. If you're new to this channel, I'm Tara. I'm a neurologic physical therapist. And on this channel, we talk about anything and everything related to mobility, health, fitness, and mindset in the context of neurologic injury, with the end goal of empowering you with as many tools as possible to take ownership of your rehab and your health, to live an overall more active, more mobile, pain-free, happier, healthier life. So let's talk about this balance board. As you may have already noticed, I have modified it because I do not have high enough level balance skills to really feel comfortable on this board. But I will get to this band in a minute. That again, I modified myself to make this a little bit more appropriate for my balance level. But basically, this is just a dowel, like a wood dowel rod on top of a board that allows the board to kind of move quite freely side to side. Now, a couple of things about this board that I really like is you can grade the difficulty. So basically this dowel rod just kind of freely will roll back and forth, but there are these little kind of wood pegs that you can put on the bottom to make it easier or more difficult. So if you create some boundaries on the bottom for this thing to roll, the closer the boundaries, the easier it's going to be, the further out, the harder it's going to be. So they do have a little bit of adjustability depending on your difficulty, but I would say for the most part, it's pretty high level. Now, the reason I was interested in this product is not only could I modify it, there are several ways I found to modify it, but in addition to it being for balance, you can also use it for stretching and for just like early stage movement retraining. So regardless of what stage you're in, if you want one product that you can use multiple ways, then this might be something that you want to check out. But let's just first talk about how it's used for balance and how I've modified it. So without this band on, it's extremely free floating. So let me show that to you. So you can see this is just a piece of wood. This wood dowel rod is wrapped in felt, which makes it even more kind of slippery, so movable. So it's intended to be a higher level activity. So, but I did find that there are two ways you can modify it to make it not so challenging. One is as I added the resistance band that I just showed you. And then the other option is that I found might or does work a little bit is to somewhat cradle this dowel rod in a valley. So you can do that with some sandbags, placing the board on top, getting in a corner, and then it doesn't roll as much, working on that higher level balance. Now, just like a wobble board that I've showed in other videos, you can work on that side to side motion, which I think is so valuable, of that weight shifting. Definitely get in a corner. A lot of you I know have installed like a bar on a wall that you use for your balance activities. Use that bar if you have a grab bar, or what a lot of people do is just kind of like install like a ballet bar in a room in their home. Hold on to that. Get used to this board, but I love it for that side to side weight shifting because the board's wider than most of the wobble boards. You can get into a nice wide stance and work a little bit more on that weight shifting. And then of course, the other thing that I've talked about in other videos is not biasing your stronger leg. So something like this really holds you accountable meaning that if you are putting more weight on your stronger leg, you're going to feel it because the board's going to tip in that direction. Okay, so that's just one use for it. Now, I did say multiple uses, so the other use, if you wanted like kind of one tool to do multiple things, this would be one, because you can also do your calf stretching on it. So just move the dowel down to run one side, and now you have a nice little wedge. So that's another use that I like for it. And then, of course, for those of you that supinate, you know, a lot of times we work on using a lateral wedge. So you can also use this for that purpose as well. If this is the foot that you're rolling to the outside, it does kind of help to kind of force more weight to the inside of your foot to allow you to work on stance control without your foot supinating. So those are just a few uses. But for those of you that are lower level and maybe want something, a tool that's going to grow with you, I have found other uses for this. So let's go ahead and dive into some what I would call like out of the box uses of it for those of you that might be a little bit lower level. So for this exercise, what we're doing is we're using this kind of teeter-totter board, and I just put a weight at one end, and we're working on early stage pushing with an involved leg or a weaker leg. You can do this sitting or standing. I always recommend starting sitting, because if you are someone that has spasticity, it might minimize the impact that the spasticity has on your movement quality. And then once you feel comfortable doing it in sitting, then try and do it in standing. So you can do it kind of facing forward. And again, the nice thing about this is you can really grade the movement quite a bit by just adding or decreasing the amount of weight that you put on the other end. And then once you get comfortable with that, you can try doing it in standing. Now for this exercise, what we're doing is we're actually putting the uninvolved leg on the board, and we're doing sit to stands, biasing an involved leg. Now, what I love about this activity is that you can put more weight on the other end of the little teeter-totter board setup we have here to allow you to put more pressure down through this leg if you're someone who can't fully load your involved leg and completely unload this leg. And then as you get better, start decreasing the amount of weight on the other end. Now the goal is that you don't want to push down. So you don't want the other side of that board to come up, because we're trying to bias this leg. So for those of you that compensate with a stronger leg, we're trying to give some kind of a tool to give you feedback when you're pushing down with the stronger leg, so that you will decrease the amount that you're pushing down with that leg and increase the amount that you are doing working with the involved leg. Okay, so this is your uninvolved leg on the end of the teeter-totter, and then just little sit to stands. So you can see for a lot of you, you're going to try and use that leg and push that board down. You want to avoid that. All right, so now we're using the same board to now do an arm weight bearing activity. So again, love this because you can grade the difficulty of this activity by just putting more weight on the other end. And then we're just going to work on pushing down with your involved arm. So again, just pushing down. What you can also work on is holding it down, right? So that you know you're having weight on this arm because the other end of that is up, and then work on reaching or doing something with your other hand. For a lot of you, when you try and do another activity, you will start to see that hand draw up. So you'll get immediate feedback because the opposite end of the board will drop. So again, just keep a little bit of pressure on there. maybe work on some kicks or some alternating knee lifts, holding this arm kind of in a weight-bearing position, working on extension of this arm, straightening with a dual task. All right, so this board can also be used for quadruped activities. For a lot of you, you do compensate when you're in quadruped by putting more weight on your uninvolved arm. So adding this board, again, just like we do in standing, will help you to know when you are putting the majority of weight on your uninvolved arm and hopefully encourage you to put more weight evenly through both arms. So let me show that to you again. Your goal for this one is just to keep that board as parallel to the ground as possible, and then adding a little knee lift without letting that board tip. All right, and then one last thing I wanted to mention about this is you can get rid of the dowel altogether, that wood dowel, and you can use an air disc. Now, a lot of you guys already have this air disc because I've used it in other videos, and it's a great replacement for the dowel, again, to purchase one product that can kind of grow with you as your balance improves. Starting with maybe if you have an air disc like this, you can use this instead if you're in the earlier stages and save the dowel rod for later. I do believe this product does have a package or a version that you can buy that comes with something similar to this, but just throwing that out there, you can use this underneath it instead for sitting and standing, and it is quite a bit easier with this underneath it as compared to the dowel rod. So again, just another way that you can modify it based on your current abilities. So if this is something that you're interested in, I do think it is a really good product where you can use one tool for both arm and leg movement recovery as well as balance. To learn more about this product or purchase this, click on the first link in the description below. As usual, if you use the link in the description below, we do receive a small commission and we are so appreciative. So if it is a product you're interested in, you would not only be getting a great product, but you'd also be supporting this channel. So we thank you in advance if you do end up purchasing this. But I don't just make these videos for that reason. I really do enjoy making these product reviews and kind of taking you guys through my thought process. When even I purchase a product that I use here in this clinic, I usually try and be able to purchase one product and get multiple uses out of it. So I'm always thinking outside the box as to all the different ways that I can use something if I am in the market for a specific tool. So if you have a product that you are interested in purchasing and you're kind of on the fence about it, put it in the description below. I like taking a product and kind of thinking outside the box and figuring out all the different ways that you can use it. So if there's something you're interested in buying and you're kind of on the fence and you want to kind of see it in use first, go ahead and put that in the description below. Again, link to purchase this is the first link in the description below. I enjoyed spending time with you all today, and I'll see you in the next video. Have a good day.